Hi, everybody. Hello, welcome. Hi, I think I see some familiar faces here. I think I've actually chatted with quite a few of you on Instagram. Hi, it's so nice to see everyone. Hello, welcome. Wow, hi guys. I'm so excited to be doing this today as I've actually never done a masterclass or anything live like this. Oh, hi. I'm seeing everyone's chats right now. Let's see. Awesome. Welcome. I'm just going to share my screen right now. Let's see. Hi. Oh, yeah. Hello in London,
Oh,
Netherlands.
routed to unknown. That's why. That's why it's not in the thing.
Oh, hi. Can everyone put their mic on mute, please? Just for now. Can everybody see my screen right now? Can everyone see the slides? Oh, wow, Portugal. Okay, now can you hear me? Okay. Reminds me of that commercial. Do you guys remember that? Like, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, awesome. Wow, Michigan. Yeah, I mean, feel free to pop where you are in the world right now while we're letting people kind of come in and get comfortable. Just want to make sure. Oh, wow, Sweden. Just want to make sure that everyone can see the slide because I am going to have slides for this, just to make the teach part a little bit easier to understand. Oh, guten Tag aus Deutschland. North Carolina. Oh, Nashville. I'm in Nashville right now. Wow, it's so cool to see. Yeah, I'm Bissien. It's so cool to see so many people from all these different parts of the world. Wow. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I'm so grateful that you decided to spend the next hour and a little bit more. It could go 90 minutes, depending on how many questions everyone has in the Q&A, but just so grateful that everyone is here and you're spending the next bit of time with me. So again, welcome everyone. This is your best year yet masterclass. So we're going to be focusing on numerology and making this the best year ever. Oh, wow. South Wales, Austria, Österreich. So again, well, oh, guten Tag. I think some people are muted and some are not. But hello, greetings. Yeah, so, welcome to my free numerological manifestation class, Your Best Year Yet, created by myself. I'm a numerologist and best-selling author of the Penguin Random House book, You Are Cosmic Code Essential Numerology. And I'm really confident that this masterclass is going to set you up for maximum success this year. So the masterclass, like I said, is going to be around 90 minutes long, and it is divided into 3 parts. And yes, someone just asked if there will be a recording available in case you have to leave early. There will be, but you will want to stay till the end if you can, just because there's a live Q&A. So any questions that you have around numerology, period, I'll be answering. So again, this masterclass is divided up into 3 different parts. So we're going to start with a live training. Then we're going to move into a group goal setting session. And then finally, there's going to be the Q&A. So where you can get all your numerological questions answered by yours truly. So let me tell you more about what we're going to be diving into. So part one, the live training. So again, little known to most, there are better and worse times to make your manifestations happen. And again, in just 30 minutes, you'll discover when and how you should be focusing your energy and attention to manifest and make your dreams come true quickly and easily. And again, this is how I do it. So I'm really excited to talk about it. And then we have the part two, which we're going to be setting intentions. So after you understand the nature of your numerological cycle and what energies you're experiencing this year and how to make the most of them, we'll spend some time setting goals, breaking them down into more actionable steps. And I'll share some of the methods that I use and things that have really worked for me. And trust me, I've tried a lot, lots of trial and error for any of my human design friends out there. I'm a 3/5 profile, so lots of trial and error here. So last but not least, at the end of this live masterclass, we will be, lots of 3/5s here. That's so exciting. We need a support group. So yeah, you'll be given the opportunity to ask any questions you have around everything we've spoken about today, anything around numerology that maybe you want answered. I got you covered, right? And I do also have wisdom and knowledge around astrology, Mayan codes, and human design. So I don't think we'll get that deep, but I love chatting all of these things. So, oh wow, a lot of people are dropping your human design in here. That's really cool. So in this numerological manifestation masterclass, you're going to learn the energy we're experiencing as a collective in 2023, how to calculate your personal year and month cycles, and what themes will be playing out for you individually, the best and worst times for you to manifest love, money, etc. And yes, there are definitely more aligned times. How to chart your cycles so you have a record of what your previous years and months have looked like, which is essential. Cannot stress that enough. That is so, so, so important to know your own patterns so that you can then tap into even more flow and abundance, right? I'll be sharing the goal setting processes I personally followed to achieve things like having a Penguin Random House book deal. They reached out to me, hitting a 6-figure mark in my business, meeting my boyfriend, and the rituals and routines that I've tried, tested, and proven to make your energy more magnetic. That way you can attract all the things you want. And again, 3/5 here, that 3/5 life. So, the law of attraction makes your dream possible. But when you combine it with numerology, it really becomes inevitable. Again, there's intention that you're setting in your mind, but then there's correct timing. So that's a lot of what the personal year cycles are about. And we're going to dive into that in a moment. So whether you want to find true love, excel in your career, make more money, really anything that you're wanting to manifest, there is a number for that and a time for that. So you're going to really benefit from this masterclass. But before we dive in, I'm going to introduce myself really quickly for those of you who may not be familiar with me or my work. And I'd also love to hear from you and what you're most excited about. So feel free to drop that in the chat. For those who may not be familiar with my work, my name is Caitlin Carehart. I am a numerologist and a best-selling author of Your Cosmic Code, Essential Numerology. I was discovered by Penguin Random House in 2019, which is pretty wild. They found me all the way across the pond. And of course, when they found me, I didn't have a website. I didn't have an Instagram. I was completely in the closet as a numerologist. I was a little scared to step out and be seen as some crazy woo-woo person, right? I actually think numerology is pretty practical, but I was still really scared at that time. And they had just heard about me through word of mouth. And at the time, my business was entirely word of mouth. And they offered me a book deal on the spot. And I didn't think that would go anywhere. And it became a bestseller in England and in its genre. And yeah, now it's selling in places like Urban Outfitters and Target. And it led to me writing for bigger publications like Mind Body Green, the Daily Mail, Bustle. So again, this is all just based on me following my year cycles. So That's why I'm so passionate about it. And my vision is to help people increase their self-awareness and acceptance with numerology and astrology and learn how to better plan and predict their futures to set themselves up for success. And again, this is just like numerology was the entry point for me to really fall in love with myself and accept myself. So I really hope that that is something that you guys also get from numerology. So my mission is to make esoteric principles and practices more mainstream and that knowledge affordable and easily accessible to anyone so that everyone is equipped with these tools so they can thrive and flourish. And again, when you have access to this knowledge, it just makes life so much easier in so many ways. It just flows. Besides my book, I've also co-created an oracle deck, Celestial Bodies Oracle deck with Serpent Fire Tarot, and released numerology planners and reports. And the thing I'm most proud of to date is my Numerology 101 signature program that's designed to help people use numerology to manifest their deepest desires in 8 weeks or less. So I'd love to learn more about you guys before we dive in. So be sure to introduce yourself in the chat box. I'd love if you're called to, and if you know it, to let me know what your life path number is and your life destiny number. I'll go first. I'm a life path 1, life destiny 1. Oh, Janine's an 8-8. Let me tell you, that being the same life path and life destiny number it's very interesting. Oh, some people are asking how to calculate that. So we aren't going to be talking about the life path or life destiny number in this class, but I have a ton of free material on my Instagram page. If you want to go through my numerology highlight, it'll help you calculate that. And there are descriptions there as well. And of course, if you want to dive deeper, check the link in my Instagram bio as well. Wow. Okay. Life path 1, destiny 7. Wow. Okay, someone said I'm an 11, but get confused as sometimes it's destiny 2. So if you are a master number 11, 22, or 33, those numbers add up to nearly completed traits of the numbers they reduce down to. So 11 is a 2, but it's like a 2 on steroids, right? Oh, wow. So cool that so many of you know this. And thank you so much for sharing that in the chat. So without further ado, let's get into the live training. So let's chat about the year cycles, right? So it's time to talk about what I find to be one of the most transformative and healing aspects of numerology. It's called the personal year cycles. And there's a reason why a third of my book is just the personal year cycles. I am that passionate about them. And again, I've studied so many different modalities, and the one thing I've studied that is always on point are the personal year cycles. So I really, really encourage all of you to track them when we get off this call too. I mean, you'll have some time on this call, but it's not enough time for you to really go back, but it will really change your life. So, you know, the personal year cycles are one of the greatest tools that numerology offers to us. And basically because they allow you to hack your own life. They've transformed not only my life, but the lives of countless others around me. Whereas before I used to push or try to force things. And now I can kind of hit more of a flow state, right? Like I'm sure all of you have had that experience where you're like, oh my God, I keep trying for this one thing. I keep trying to do this in my career. I keep trying for love or whatever it is. And you're like, why isn't it working? Some of that has to do with aligned timing, which I've discovered through numerology. So knowing these numbers helps us to understand better the energy we're working with within each year and month. And you can use your personal year number to help determine what projects to focus on, when to take action, when to rest, the best times for dealing with matters like love and money, your most magnetic times, just to name a few. I mean, there's really like nothing you kind of can't do. So let's talk about the patterns of the years and the months within them. So the personal year cycle is beautiful for understanding your patterns and for seeing how cyclical we all are. And if you think about it, all of nature is cyclical. So why wouldn't we be, right? Like seasons change. There's a time to plant seeds. There's a time to harvest those seeds. So following these natural life cycles will restore your own life to its natural rhythm and help to make peace with your present. So every year has an energy, right? So we have a universal energy and a personal energy. So the universal is what the collective is experiencing, while every individual is also experiencing and working through their own personal year cycle determined by your birthday. And we're going to get into that in a moment. So while there's a universal year that plays out for the collective, the personal year is focused on the individual. So I kind of see it as, for anyone here who is really into astrology, it's kind of like knowing that there's a full moon in Cancer, but then knowing what house it's in for you. That's a big difference, right? So again, really important to make that distinction. So here's how it works. Each number within the year cycle represents a theme, and that is playing out each year. And within each year cycle, there are also month cycles. So there are 9 years within each year cycle and 108 monthly cycles, which occur synchronously. So the number 108 is significant as it represents the 12 months that exist within each year throughout the entire 9-year cycle, because 9 times 12 equals 108. So this means that there are 108 mini themes playing out within the larger 9 yearly themes, and the year cycles start at 1 and go to 9 and repeat again and again on a loop. So basically, there are 9-year cycles. They go 1 through 9. And within those 9-year cycles, there are 12-month cycles, right? So those are the mini themes that are playing out. Now, there's kind of a debate in numerology around when the year cycle starts. Some numerologists, you may have even seen this if you look this up online, think it's from birthday to birthday. But I've spent the past decade tracking the cycles for myself and clients. And so I always do it from January 1st until December 31st. So use the calendar year. Mathematically, that also makes more sense. So again, we have a new year cycle that starts every January 1st. So we're going to get into what your year cycle and month cycles are in a moment. So we have years versus months. The year cycle is the macro or the overarching theme, the bigger picture, while each month within that year is the micro, the here and now. So I kind of look at it as like the year cycle is the main character. It's like the star. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio, right? It's the big energy. And then the month cycles are the supporting actors, the supporting characters, right? So it's important to kind of keep that in mind as we kind of go through this. And again, the month number plays off the year cycle and is a more specific description of what you're experiencing during that time. So to be clear, the themes within the universal, personal, and monthly cycles are the same. So a universal year 8 has the same definition as a personal year 8, but it is the collective experience rather than the personal. And likewise, the month cycle has the same themes as the year, but is more specifically focused in the year theme, which is playing out over a longer period of time. So the year theme is the slow burn, while the month theme can feel like kind of a quick flyby energy. And again, for those of you who are really in astrology, it's kind of like the longer transits versus like a full moon or a new moon. So just a note on energy, each year brings a new energy and an opportunity to understand ourselves and our patterns on an even deeper level. And our paths are not linear, right? They spiral in direction, and we continually revisit the things we thought we knew and discover deeper truths about ourselves and the world around us. So by knowing the nature of the cycle you're in, you will have a greater awareness of the energy that is most supported at any given time and how to make that energy work for you, right? So flow instead of going against the current. So when you know a specific energy is coming, you can plan for it. You know exactly how you want to ride that wave, where you want to go. The energy is supporting you, carrying you towards your destination with ease and grace. And when you wait for that energy to kind of carry you towards your destiny, life really starts to flow. And again, like, I can't stress this enough, like, these year cycles really work. So let's get into how to calculate the universal year. So as you can see here, the universal year number is calculated by adding up the numbers in the current year. So you add up the numbers and then you reduce them to a single digit. And you'll find that a lot of numerological calculations require you to reduce things to a single digit. And the reason for this is because the single digit represents the purest form of the energy. So numerology is always dealing with single digits, 1 through 9. And then there are a few master numbers, which are double digits. That's 11, 22, and 33. But for this masterclass, we are going to be focusing on the personal year cycles. So we're only looking at numbers 1 through 9. So to get the universal year 7, we just add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3, which equals 7. And just to give everyone kind of a reference, whatever personal year cycle you're in now, which we're going to get to in a moment, you were in that same cycle in 2014. And that's because 2023 and 2014 both equal a 7. Now, it's really important that you kind of chart cycles in that way. When you can go back and see how your energy interacted with that, you'll start to see interesting things like, wow, I keep being in the same situations in the same year cycles. So definitely make note of that, and definitely, go through your emails, your camera roll, whatever will help you, jar your memory of 9 years ago and see if there are any parallels between these 2 years. So universal year 7. So again, each year has a universal theme or energy that we experience as a collective, and each year is building on the last. So 2020 was a year 4. And I got to say, I personally think 4s are some of the roughest years to go through because they're foundational, right? So the collective was in a foundational year, a 4 year in 2020. Then in 2021, we went through a year 5, and that was all about being adaptable, freedom, redefining what freedom meant to us. And then in 2022, we were in a universal year 6. Now that was a year of love and relationships. I don't know if any of you guys noticed there were so many shifts in relationships last year. I mean, I knew so many people who went through sudden divorces, or reversely, I knew a lot of people who met someone and like instantly fell in love, and they're like, this is my person, we're moving in together. So again, a lot of that has to do with the universal energy being a 6. But now in 2023, we're in a universal 7. And honestly, this is the year that I've been really kind of speaking to people about, even since 2020, when people are freaking out in 2020, I'm like, listen, 2020 this is a rough year, but wait till the 7, right? So, I see a lot of people are writing in the chat that weddings, found my soulmate last year, met so many soulmate friends in 2022. Yeah, it's really cool when you track that, right? And again, that's the universal energy. So we'll get to the personal in a moment, but back to the 7. So again, the 7 is actually the most spiritual number in numerology. It's the most spiritual single digit number, right? The only number that rivals it is the 11. And the 7 is the philosopher, it's the seeker. It's definitely a number of spiritual awakenings and knowledge gathering and solitude and inward focus. Actually, when I was doing one-on-one readings, a lot of the times that my clients would come to me and they would say, oh my God, Carahart, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I don't want to see anyone or hang out with anyone anymore. They were always in a month 7 or a year 7. So the 7 can bring a lot of solitude, right? And that's because a lot of this year is about going within and reflecting, right? The answers are within us. So the collective is going to be undergoing some major shifts in how we see the world, how we think. Our whole worldview is going to change. And there's going to be, for like lack of better words, like a massive spiritual awakening this year. There's going to be a lot of shifts in consciousness and a lot of truth coming to light as well, right? Because the 7 is all about truth. It's all about knowledge gathering. It's all about bringing truth to light, especially truth that you're transmuting, that you're getting from within, right? It's a very meditative number. So I think we've already started to kind of see some of this. Yeah, the collective needs that. We're already starting to see some of this with, Twitter files coming out, or like those sorts of things, like mass exposure. We're going to see a lot more of that this year. So just be aware. And, you know, just to give reference, like whenever I think of the 7, I always think of Bruce Lee, because he was such a great example of what a life path 7 was. I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever watched any of his like videos, where his philosophical insights, things like that. But he has a great quote that he says that I think is great advice for this year. He said, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle and it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot and it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Right? So like, that's really just like, we need to just be flowing this year. Because again, a lot of people's worldviews are going to be very, very shook. So just be aware of that. Like, it's going to be one of those years where like up is down, down is up kind of thing, right? So how can we kind of navigate this? So, you know, think of 2023 as an internal house cleaning year for the collective, kind of like purging out the things that we really don't need. And again, this is kind of getting us to go within for the answers. You know, the 7 is the seeker of all knowledge, spiritual and otherwise. And its greatest purpose is to be a student of life and to commit itself to a sacred calling. So what topics have you been drawn to that support your inner growth? And, you know, has there been something that you really wanted to study or try? Now is a great time to do that. So the 7 knows that the answers we're seeking can only be found within. So when we kind of silence the noise around us and allow ourselves to surrender, we can receive those answers. So again, global consciousness is shifting massively this year. Expect way more discussions on mental health, spirituality, energy, esoteric wisdom coming more into the mainstream. I think you guys have all noticed, again, like I said, the year cycles build on top of each other. And I think even in 2020, like esoteric practices weren't as mainstream as they are now, or these discussions on mental health. And now look at where we are. I mean, there's so much knowledge online now around autism or ADHD, or again, astrology, numerology, breath work, like all of that is really kind of been building, getting to this point, right? This is a huge turning point for humanity. So, you know, deeper truths that have been hidden for a really long time are probably going to be exposed in 2023. So, you know, just get ready. And, you know, this is really what's needed in order for humanity to wake up and make the necessary shifts towards a better world, right? A world that's more supportive of us thriving instead of just getting by and surviving. So again, the only thing I would warn everyone against is that for each number, there's a light and a shadow side. And the shadow side of the 7 is that they can kind of lean towards negative thinking, right? So you may feel that there's more like negativity in the collective. It's kind of like stirring things up. Again, just think about kind of like that house cleaning, right? Sometimes when you're cleaning your house, it's messier before it's cleaner, if you know what I mean, when you're like reorganizing things, you're like kicking up the dust. So just be aware that, you know, you could sometimes lose sight of things in the energy of a 7 and get lost in your own thoughts and your desire to be alone and, you know, not see the forest through the trees. So if you do find yourself spiraling down the negative thinking or worrying, bring yourself back to center through things like journaling, taking a walk, breath work, meditation, or whatever healing modality really calls to you, right? And so, yeah, the biggest takeaway, again, many of us are going to awaken to our greatest potential this year. And if you want to change the world, it starts with yourself. Of course, it's so cliche and corny, but I think we all know that, which is why we're here. So again, this is our year to really initiate and surrender. And if any of you are, you know, like me and kind of like had a spiritual awakening before all of their friends and family did, this is probably the year the rest of your friends and family are going to have their own spiritual awakening. So it might be intense, but again, I think it's good that we're aware of that. So now let's get into how to calculate your personal year cycle. So your personal year can be found using your birthday, month and day, not the year. So let's say you were born July 5th, 1994. You would not use 1994. You would just use July 5th. And again, there's an example on this slide as well. So You take your birthday and your birth month and you reduce it to a single digit, and then you add that to the universal year. So right now our universal year is 2023. So you would add that to 7, right? So in the example here, if you were born on February 2nd, you would do, oh, sorry. I think, okay, sorry. There is a February 3rd. Sorry, in the example, it says 2nd of February. That was a typo. I'm sorry, you guys. So if you're born February 3rd, which it says in the example, that would be 3 + 2 = 5. And again, all of the months are the same year as the calendar, right? So if you're born January, that's a 1. If you're born February, that's a 2. And again, here's the examples. And then I'm going to give you another example, just so it's, really bring that home. So here's an example of someone who's born on the 7th of May. So if you're born on May 7th, you would do 7 + 5, because May is the 5th month of the year. And then that's 12, which you reduce to a single digit. And again, we always reduce everything to a single digit. And then we add that to the personal or the universal year 2023, which is 7, right? So someone asked, what if you're October? So October would be 1 + 0 = 1. So again, you would reduce that down. And yeah, you do reduce 11 to a single digit as well when you're doing the personal year calculation, because it deals with 1 through 9, right? So just giving everyone a little bit of time to calculate that out. I'm in my personal year 9. So I'm completing the 9-year cycle. Oh, and for anyone who also is in a personal year 9 this year, you may be completing something that happened in 2014. And that's because that was your last year 1, right? Because the year cycles go in cycles 1 through 9 and repeat again and again and again in a loop. Okay, awesome. Lots of personal year 8, 4, 6, 9. Double-digit birthdays you reduce to a single digit, right? So if you're born, let's say September 12th, you would do 9 for September plus 3, because the 12th would be 1 + 2 = 3. And then you add that to the universal year, which would just be 7. So you're just adding 7 plus your month and day. Okay, awesome. Lots of personal year 9s. I used to joke that personal year 9s kept me in business as a numerologist. Can it be an 11? So for the purposes of this masterclass, we're only looking at years 1 through 9. Some people will look at like, oh, it's an 11 personal year or 22 personal year, but it's so rare to get that calculation and it doesn't actually make a difference. And again, most numerologists don't actually go by that. So, okay. Some people are, does your personal year change every year? Yes, you enter a new personal year every January 1st. Okay, awesome. I think those are all the questions. So now we're going to chat about the personal months, and then we're going to dive into what it all means. So yes, an 11 becomes a 2. So if you got a personal year 11, that would be a personal year 2. Okay, so now that you know your personal year number, you can calculate your personal month number as well. So remember, the personal year is the overarching theme of the year, while the month cycles are the many things running alongside, right? So think main character, main actor / supporting character, supporting actor, right? So the explanations and themes of the year cycles also apply to the monthly cycles. So for example, if you're in a month 6, you would read the description for personal year 6. But to find your personal month number, add the number of the month to your personal year number. So there are 12 months in a year, but only 9 numbers that we're using in numerology. So here are the numbers that each month represents. So you can see below, I've already done that for you. January is the 1, February is the 2, and so on and so forth. So what you would do to discover your month cycles is that you would add, again, January is a 1. So if you're in a personal year 8 and January is a 1, you would add 1 to 8, thus January would be a 9. And here's an example of how you'd work that out, right? So if you're in a personal year 7, then January, the first month of the year, would be your personal month 8, because 7 plus 1 is 8. And February would be a 9 because 7 plus 2 is 9, and so on and so forth. But for the purposes of this class, and to make it so much easier for you, so you're not doing tons of math, to save time, I've created this chart for you. So now you can just look at your personal year and know the months. But I thought it was important to at least share the calculations for the months. And I also did put this in the workbook. So for those of you who have the workbook handy, this is also in there if you want to refer back to it. So again, you can look at this and see where your personal year is, and then the energy of each month, which we're going to break down in just a moment. And yes, a calculation of 10 does reduce to 1 for a personal year. Amazing. Okay, cool. So let's talk about interpreting the year cycles, right? So here's the energy that goes with each year cycle. And as a reminder, the year cycle and the month cycle, like if it's a month 8 or a year 8, it's the same energy, right? So if you're in a personal year 1, this is going to be a time of new beginnings, independence. It's really about focusing on yourself. It's really a rebirth year. Basically, when you're in the 1, you're just coming out of the 9. So it's kind of like this cocoon moment where you really went in and had to let go of so much. And now you're in the 1 and you're a new person. You're actually like a totally new person, new everything, new beginnings, like new ideas. And it's the only number that has to do with the self. So I always tell everyone, like, if ever you're going to be selfish in a year 1, because this is a time for you to celebrate yourself and to get in touch with yourself. And another fun fact about the 1 is that anything you start in a 1, whether it is a month or a year cycle, tends to take for the entire 9 months or 9 years. So a lot of people I meet who have successful businesses, they usually started it in a year 1, and often they'll like sell the business in their year 9. Some people start relationships in a year 1 that take for the 9-year cycles, even though the 1 is not necessarily a relationship year. So, oh, Kelly just shared she started her business in a year 1. Exactly. So very important to think, like, if you're looking to start something, the 1 is such a great energy, especially if you want it to take. And then we have the 2. So this is all about balance, partnerships, patience, cooperation. This is a really good time for collaboration, right? If you're looking to do like group projects or team up with someone, anything like that, that's really good in the 2. And the 2 is one of the best times for meeting a romantic partner. So if you're looking to enter into a partnership, the 2 is a great time to do it. Also, again, a reminder of the 2 is that it's a very slow energy. So, you know, it's all about finding balance. It's kind of like big Libra energy. So if you're in a 2, there's kind of going to be this like balancing of scales, right? So if you're pushing too hard for something, there might be some pushback from the universe. Someone asked if this applies to the months. Yes. The descriptions for the year and months are the same. Someone just says, oh my God, last year was a 2 and God damn, it was slow. Yeah, for anyone who's in it too, it's a slower year, but it's because it's teaching you balance. And then we have the 3, which is the communication number, right? So this is all about self-expression, heart opening, celebration, socializing. Like usually this is an amazing time for any artistic endeavors, socializing. You'll want to be more social. The 3 is a very fast-paced year. After the 2, you kind of need it because the 2 can be really slow. And then 3 just feels like you've just been shot out of a cannon. Yeah, Kristen just said 2 last year and it was the slowest year of my life, but you probably learned balance. So they all have blessings, right? Everything has a light and a shadow side to it. Then we have 4. I personally think the 4 year is a very challenging year. I used to joke, it's like work till you die year. It's such a working number. It really is all about foundations. It's all about challenges. 4 is the number of breakthroughs. So if you're in a personal year 4, expect a lot of breakthroughs. But how do we break through? Usually through a breakdown, right? So just be aware of that. There will be tons of career opportunities though. Like this is such a good time to up level in career. And again, where are you placing your foundations, right? So there could be some things around the actual physical home or wherever you're putting your foundations, but it is a great time for anything work related. So if you're launching anything or want to ask for a raise, sometimes that's done best in the 4 or an 8, which we're going to get to. And then we have the 5. The 5 is a mixed bag, okay? The 5 is a year of unexpected changes. It's all about your relationship to freedom, new experiences, sensuality, change. 5 is the only number that has to do with the 5 senses, right? So that's by sensuality. You'll want to be like more in your body, but it really is a time to explore freedom. What does freedom look like to you, right? Because that's very relative. To some people, freedom is I have X amount of money in the bank. And to other people, freedom means being a nomad and only having a backpack and just traveling around the world. So another fun fact about the 5 is that it's the best time to travel. Whenever I meet someone who's just like spent their whole year traveling or they're planning a lot of vacations, it's usually in the energy of a 5. If you're looking at your year ahead and you're trying to figure out when to plan a vacation, plan it in the 5 because it will go the most smoothly. Then we have 6, which is nicknamed the marriage or divorce year in numerology. But don't freak out. Don't freak out because it doesn't mean if you're in a relationship, you will get a divorce. It just means when you go into a 6th year, if you're in alignment with your partner, you will deepen that love. If you're out of alignment with a partner, it is very likely there could be a breakup. But if you do go through a breakup in a year 6, I just want you to know that it's very possible you will still meet another person, especially a soulmate. Like I've seen it happen so many times. You go into a year 6, breakup happens in March because it's your month 9, and then you meet someone again after September. So, and if you're single going into the year 9, you will definitely meet someone. Like I say that with 100% confidence because I've just done this for so long. And there was only one time anyone ever told me they didn't meet someone. And when I pushed back, I was like, so there was no one you dated? She was like, yeah, well, I was dating this one guy for 3 months, this other guy for 4 months. And I'm like, hey, you were dating. So that's the thing. Like the universe is going to bring you opportunities, but you also have to say yes, right? Something to take into consideration. There will be lots of love opportunities, lots of healing, lots around the home and family. And again, responsibilities are going to feature just so highly. Then we have the 7, which we've already kind of covered, introspection, singular focus, spiritual awakenings, answering a sacred calling. Then we have the 8. Now the 8 is very, very special because it's the only number in numerology that has to do with the material world. And it's the only number that has to do with money and power. So if you want to ask for a raise, up level your income, whatever it is that you want to do with money, do it in an 8. And I have worked with so many clients and I've done this for myself where they enter an 8 and miracles happen. Like quadruple your income in an 8 kind of thing. It's that powerful. And if you go back and track your cycles, you'll probably see like your biggest money years were in an 8. But I also want you to be aware that there's a shadow side to each number, right? So in an 8, I've seen people strike it rich, especially when they're paying attention, but I've also seen a few people file bankruptcy or have a lot of negativity when it comes to money and power, right? Like toxic power dynamics. So again, just be aware of that. And then finally, we have the 9. So this is like wrapping up the entire 9 years. Every single year you focused on one aspect of yourself. And now you're in the 9th year. This is the year that is about endings. It's completion. It's death before rebirth. It's a time of reflecting. There could be a lot of sadness that comes up in the 9 because there's a lot of letting go. There could be a lot of metaphorical deaths, lots of ego deaths. There could be an actual death. You know, my dad, when he went through his last year 9, his cat died. So again, not to scare anybody. Like, I don't want you to think, oh, I'm going into year 9. Is someone going to die? Just wanted to let everyone know that that is a possibility, right? I always like to get ahead of the 9. If anyone's going into a month 9, by like cleaning things out, decluttering my apartment, like cleaning out my closet. I find that you can kind of get ahead of the energy so you don't feel like the rug is kind of pulled out in a 9. If you kind of already set that intention by like purging things willingly, that's how it's going to flow the best. And Kim shared her dog died in year 9. Yeah, you tend to find that a lot. So again, to interpret your personal year and month cycles generically, you simply consult the numbers, right? So here's how you do that. Let's say you're in a personal year 6 and the overarching themes of your year 6 are relationships and responsibilities. Well, if you're experiencing a month 5 in your personal year 6, you will have experiences coming up around your relationship with freedom, which is what the 5 represents, within your own personal relationships, which is, again, the 6. So this could be a time when you're feeling especially constricted or perhaps especially free within your closest relationships. And as I've mentioned before, every number has a light and shadow side to it, and you could be tapping into either side at any given time. And of course, we have power over that when we're aware, right? So again, 5 is change, 6 is relationships. So you see that coming, you're like, okay, there's going to be a shift in relationships. So while numerology is able to give you an overview of the themes you'll be facing each year, it's important to understand your own cyclical nature. So I always recommend, and can't stress this enough, that people go back and chart their own patterns and experiences within the year cycles. So depending on where you're at in life, a year 5 could express itself in a very different way than a year 5 might for someone else. And furthermore, your energy may be interacting with the numbers in a specific way. And of course, it's hard to remember everything that you did, 9 years ago, 3 years ago, even yesterday, right? So I always suggest looking through your diary, your journal entries, social media posts, photos. Emails are great. I've even gone like as crazy as to go back into my last year 9, because I'm in my personal year 9 now, and looked at every single month. So I'm like, okay, here's kind of what was going on for me. So again, that's a really great place to start as well. And, mark the major events that happened in each year and discover the themes from your past so you can understand your present and future. And you will start to see that you were dealing with similar issues in each cycle. It's honestly mind-blowing. So let me give you an example. When I first looked back through my own numbers, I recognized a really interesting pattern. In each personal year 4, I moved to a new city. And in each personal year 5, I launched a new creative project with a partner. So that's my own pattern and how my life path 1 and my own life experiences are interacting with the year cycles. My close friend is in the same year cycle as me, and her experiences in her personal years 4 and 5 are very different from mine. She tends to get into relationships in year 4s and changes jobs in year 5s. So though we have our own unique patterns, we are still experiencing similar themes, right? So the year 4 deals with foundations, home, work, whatever you're leaning on that's supporting your life. And year 5 is a year of understanding what freedom means to you. Now, this is an example of the year cycles playing out differently for each person. Year 7s have historically been very challenging years for me. Well, one of my good friends, Sophie, has the best years of her life in sevens, right? So again, I encourage everyone to calculate your own cycles and take notes on the major events that occurred. And again, like there's the generic, like here's what you're in a year 1, you're in a year 6, whatever. But there's also knowing like the exact things that tend to come up for you as well. Someone asked, is 6 only romantic relationships or friendships as well? So 6 is all relationships, but there is a heavy focus on love. So again, it is nicknamed the marriage or divorce year for a reason. It's like the biggest year of love. Okay, cool. So let's talk about working with these energies to achieve your desires. So like I said, the best time for money is always in the energy of an 8. 8 is the vibration associated with money and power. So if I know that I'm approaching an 8, I know that'll be a good time when money matters will be on my mind. I can prepare for the feeling of this energy and use it as an opportunity for growth by studying up on finances, focusing on financial planning, and doing everything I can to get my money in order. So this could also be a good time for me to ask for a pay raise, perhaps, since I know this energy is going to be coming up, that's when I start to plan like exactly what I want in my finances. So here's another example of working with the cycles, specifically with love and partnerships. So let's say you really want to call in love and partnership. The numbers typically associated with love and partnership are 2s and 6s. But perhaps you are going into personal year or personal month 7, which is the energy of going inward, and it's typically not a very social time. So if you're really looking to attract a partner, you may come up against resistance while trying to push for it during the energy of a 7. However, knowing you're going into the energy of the 7 can help you better focus your energy on what is supported during that time. And you can set your intention and focus on areas such as introspection, writing, and learning about a new subject, and set aside the energy of calling in partnership until you come upon the next cycle or month when it's most supported. So again, in that energy of the 2, in that energy of the 6. Okay, so that's a breakdown of all of the personal year cycle, personal month cycle. Someone said, what year would be conceiving, birthing babies? That I do tend to find that happens a lot in 9s, 1s, 2s, and 6s. All right. Someone said they're a bit confused about personal month. So we have the universal year and the universal months, and then we have the personal year and the personal months. Okay, so now we're in part 2. We're going to be setting some goals. Get your workbooks out or your pen and paper. So as promised, in this portion of the masterclass, I'm going to be revealing the goal setting process I personally followed to achieve things like bagging a book deal with Penguin Random House, hitting a 6-figure mark in my business, meeting my boyfriend. And we're also going to be setting some goals together and sharing them with one another if you feel called, before touching on some rituals and routines to make our energies even more magnetic. So there are all sorts of, different ways to set goals, different goal setting processes that you find online. And I've pretty much, like I said, I've tried everything, and I outlined some of them that I've tried on here, setting deadlines for each task, time blocking, conducting self-assessments, writing down potential goals. But I found that it actually doesn't matter what processes I follow. The way I achieve my goals the quickest and the easiest is by involving the personal year and month cycles. So here's how I like to do it. So I reflect. So after calculating what personal year cycle I'm entering into, I take time to consider how well I'm doing in said area at present and the ways in which I might like to improve. And then once I do that, I project, right? So I look into personal year related goals. Following step 1, I list out all the goals I'd like to achieve relevant to my personal year. So for example, if you're in a year 8, you're like, okay, cool. I want to have this much in my savings. I want to do this with my career. I want to launch this course, all those financial goals, right? Then you would write that out. And after that, I consider the mini themes of each month in my personal year cycle and write down all the goals I'd like to achieve in those months that would be energetically supported. So let's do some reflection together right now. So if you have a pen and paper or a journal, or if you want to write this down in the workbook that we provided for you, this is the time to do that, right? So consult this chart here to remind yourself of the themes you'll be experiencing in the personal year. And we added questions inside of the workbook for each year cycle, so you can really reflect on that. Again, Vanessa just dropped it into the chat. So if any of you did not already download the workbook, it's in the chat right now. It came from Dr. Vanessa McIntosh. There are questions for each personal year cycle. So that could definitely help you to kind of get into that flow. Like, where are you at for your personal year? So again, like, consult the chart to remind yourself of the themes. And then after that, I'd like to reflect for a moment on the strengths and weaknesses you may have in this area, right? So like, if you're in a personal year one, like, are you embracing your uniqueness right now? This is the year of self. This is the year of independence, new beginnings. So how do you feel about those themes in your life? Like, how positive do you feel regarding your creativity and your creative flow? And, how focused are you on prioritizing your own needs, right? Because it's the only year that has to do with you. And do you feel independent and capable of manifesting your heart's desires right now? Some people are saying they do not see the workbook. Does everyone see the workbook in here? And also, you were emailed the workbook as well. So it's definitely in the email that was sent this morning too. So, given the fact that we only have 90 minutes together, we don't have a ton of time to spend on this exercise. But again, the prompts are in for each personal year cycle in the masterclass workbook. And I'd really recommend going away and journaling on those when you have sufficient space to go inwards. But I think, again, I'm just going to give you like a minute or two just to maybe think on this and reflect. Setting some new goals, knowing what your personal year cycle is. I don't know if maybe any of you were surprised by your personal year cycle. Maybe you went into 23 thinking, this is my year of love, but actually it's your year 8 or your year 7, right? So definitely write those out. So someone said that they're in a year 6, but they're not interested in love and relationships. Well, I've seen that happen a lot, and the universe is still probably going to throw things at you in that realm. But, the 6 is also a very, very magnetic time for you because you're in such an attraction place with that love energy. So, it could be something that you want to manifest. It could be focusing on relationships you want to build just in general, right? So it's like, when I went into my year 6, that's when I built relationships with my editors at Penguin Random House and released my book. So again, like, you can use these to really help you kind of focus on making the most positive aspect of each year cycle. So you can manifest whatever you want in pretty much any time you want, if you want to, right? Maybe that's debatable, but like, I never want to say you can't manifest something in a specific year cycle. But what I do want to say is when you look at your year cycles and you're flowing in them, you will see that you manifest much quicker and much easier. And again, that's another reason why it's so important for you to go back and look at what you were doing in your last personal year in 2014. Right? So like, for example, personal year 4 is all about foundations. And I have gone through breakups in a 4. Now, 4 doesn't have to do with love, but it does have to do with foundations. And I used to be really codependent, and I used to build my foundations in my relationships. And so that's why when the 4 came up, even though it's a big work energy and I would have a lot of things manifest in my career, I would usually also go through breakups, right? So definitely just something to kind of like think on, like, 6 being relationships and love and family. It could be you're building relationships of any kind. Someone said, I'm personal year 5, personal month 1. Does that mean a lot of self-change? It does. Okay, so now that we've kind of reflected, we're going to project our year. So you can use your goal setting workbook to do this, and the dedicated space is on page 11. So on page 11 of your workbook, you can circle the number that represents your personal year. So now that we've calculated that out, go ahead and circle that so you know the personal year you're in. And then you can go ahead and, bearing in mind the themes that you will be experiencing this year, list out the goals you'd like to attain in the months, right? So you can write out we're going to get to that in a moment. Sorry. So think about the goals that you want to set now that you've kind of reflected in your personal year 1 or personal year 2, or again, whatever personal year you're in. And again, that's page 11 in the workbook. So a lot of people are sharing their personal year stories in the chat. As a 9, what might be some examples? So a good thing in the 9 is all about completion. It's all about letting go of things that are no longer needed. So actually, a lot of people tend to graduate in a year 9 or move home in a year 9, right? So it's like, what is it that you can let go of this year? So for me, I've been thinking about a lot of things that I'm wrapping up, right? There are things that I've realized now entering into my year 9, like, okay, I don't necessarily want to do this professionally. I don't really want to have relationships that look like this. I want my home to be different, right? So it's kind of about letting go of this old version of you and allowing a new version to emerge. So think about that. Like, what is it that you need to let go of? And that could be, patterns or thought processes. That could be like holding on to certain friends or a relationship that isn't right for you. Yeah. And again, definitely check the reflection questions in the workbook, because that will help you kind of be like, oh, okay, cool. That's my personal year. Like, these are the themes. This is what's going on. Okay. So now hopefully you've written some goals. So on page 12 of your workbook, you'll be able to label each month with your personal month number. So if you need to consult the chart again, it's on page 5 of your workbook. So on page 5 is that chart. So you don't have to do any math. You can go back and be like, cool, I'm in my personal year 1. Here's the progression of the month cycles. Fill those in. And bearing the many themes of each number in mind, list out the relevant goals you'd like to achieve. So we do it in this way to ensure you're focusing your attention and efforts on the right things at the right times, as again, we will achieve our goals more quickly and easily if we take action towards them when things of their nature are being energetically supported. So if one of your goals this year was, I want to ask for a pay raise, then write that out wherever your month 8 is. If you want to take a trip, maybe you want to plan a family vacation, wherever your month 5 is, you'll want to write that down, right? So whatever your goals are, you write those in the numbers that are relevant. And again, this is all in your workbook if you need a reminder of what those cycles are. So your monthly goals can be anything. It's just, again, putting them into the kind of like the right buckets, right? And that's why in your workbook, you have each month listed out, and you can write down the month number in the little box that's provided, and then you write that down. So it could be anything, right? So I'm in a year 9, but one of my goals this year is to take a vacation to Europe with my boyfriend. We've never been out of the country together. We've never actually had a vacation together. So that doesn't really have to do with my 9, but it's supported in the energy of a 5. right? So we're kind of looking at May as a great time for us to travel. Or I'm in my month 1 right now. I've been thinking about doing a live masterclass to talk about numerology for a while. I didn't know what I wanted to be on, but I'm so passionate about the personal year cycles that I thought, what better time to do a masterclass on the personal year cycles than the top of the year and in my month 1, right? So starting something new and creativity. And yeah, so again, someone's asking, even if the trip happens not during your boyfriend's month 5. Yes. So we don't have control over manifesting for other people, right? So this is just focused on you and your own manifestations. Like if you're traveling in a 5, that's going to be a supportive time for you to be traveling. Now, it is important to check your partner's personal years as well. But again, we got to start with ourselves, right? To answer your question, Annie, I'm personal year 5 and personal month 1. Is that a good time to have a baby? Well, yeah, change and new beginnings, of course. Oh, thanks, Jess. Jess says, I love this so much. It's seriously so awesome. So yeah, I always do this at the beginning of the year, right? So I write out like, what are the biggest things I'm manifesting this year? And then I break it down and put it into the months, right? And it's like, again, setting those intentions and knowing that you're going to flow in an aligned way. Best month for launching things in a new business. Launching anything new, always in a 1. But when it comes to business, 4s and 8s are also very good. I'm a personal month 4 and that checks. Okay, awesome. So many awesome questions, but I want to make sure that we're moving along. So here are some rituals and routines to kind of amplify your efforts. So writing down your goals increases your likelihood of reaching them. 43% of people who simply think about their goals reach them, and writing them down increases the percentage to 61%. And when you share them with other people, that increases your chances even more. And this is actually a scientific study that was done. I forget the name of it, but if anyone's interested, I could find that out. So in the chat box, let us know what you're hoping to achieve this year. You could speak it into existence, or just, again, drop it in the chat. What are you manifesting? I'm in a 9, so I'm manifesting like letting go of a lot of things. And like, I always see death as kind of a rebirth as well, because every ending is a new beginning, right? So there are a lot of things I'm thinking, okay, I want this part of my life to kind of, it's done, I've outgrown it. And now I'm kind of wanting to move into a new part of life, right? So people are manifesting more financial abundance, relationships, baby, business thriving, earning an extra 2K a month, meeting soul partners, bring a baby home, have my business hit 6 figures online. Peace and money. To live as a manifestor, initiating without worries. Preach. I'm a manifestor in human design too. It is not a walk in the park. Ooh, healthy, connected, passionate, soulful relationships. Yes. Oh my God, love to finish writing the book you're writing. Brilliant. For anyone who's writing a book, the Pomodoro method saved my life when I was writing. I for some reason thought writing a book would be really easy. It's not. It's extremely hard. The Pomodoro method works. Freelance, awesome. Wow, lots of people writing a book, bringing in babies, buying a house. These are incredible goals. Ooh, starting a breathwork business. That is so good for anyone who's kind of in the spiritual space or a mental health space or anything to do with wellness. This year, you will definitely thrive because, again, we're in a universal year 7. So consciousness is shifting. People are waking up in totally new ways. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. Oh, therapist. Yeah, therapy. Definitely. Also, anyone who's like working with psychedelics. I know that's like really on the rise right now as well. Amazing. Thank you everyone for sharing. This is so beautiful to see all the things that everyone is calling in and just how varied they are too. Amazing. So another way to realize kind of your dream life more quickly and easily is to say affirmations out loud. Now, I used to think affirmations were bullshit. Like I used to be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and be like, I am abundant and it's just going to fall. Like just saying it didn't make me believe it, right? So for me, it was really about finding the right affirmation. So you really got to find an affirmation that resonates with you on a soul level. And I noticed that saying it out loud was incredibly helpful. So I'll give an example. And anyone else who loves affirmations or does affirmations, put yours in the chat too. I love hearing them. But I remember when I was building my business and I was kind of at that point where I was like scared to ask for more money or kind of even scared to charge people. I think a lot of us go through that, especially women in business. There was this affirmation I would say, and it was, my beingness and my words are conduits of miraculous healing. They're both highly valuable and highly compensated. And I would say that before every reading I did, every single one. And I swear the moment I started saying it, the confidence that I felt, I would just like glow up. And then the transformations I was seeing with my clients was so powerful. Again, because when I was saying my beingness and my words are conduits of miraculous healing, that's what they became. It was so beautiful. Yeah, someone said, can you say that again? My beingness and my words are conduits of miraculous healing. They're both highly valuable and highly compensated. So that one really changed my life. But there have been some other affirmations that have really been helpful for me too. But that one was like the one, right? So I think it's really about finding the positive statements that are really going to take. And then again, saying them out loud really, really shifts. A lot of people like universe has my back. Universe, show me what's possible. Yeah, these are awesome. Ooh, I love that I'm now living in my highest timeline that exists. Every day I'm met with blessings and abundance. That's a great one. Oh, Nicole says, I say that every morning after you shared it in your numerology course. I love it. It's my favorite one. It's just like, yes, I'm equal to those who inspire me. I am now a match for my dream life. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, universe, I'm ready to receive your blessings. Yes, always. I love these. So another thing that I like to do is meditation. You know, some of our beliefs are subconscious, so we aren't even aware of the ways that we hold ourselves back, right? So when you can meditate and kind of dip down into that space or just even pause, right? We're so overstimulated. We're so bombarded now with so many things coming at us constantly that when we can take that conscious pause is when the universe can actually give us that download, can actually reach us, right? So, you know, I also like to use meditations at certain frequencies. So like 432 Hertz, that gets us in a theta state. So something to consider if any of you like to listen to meditation music or like to, you know, listen to guided meditations. If you do it at that hertz, it will actually put you in theta, and then you're actually able to shift quicker, right? Okay, awesome. Journaling is also something I'm obsessed with. Actually, Einstein said he would journal 10 minutes first thing in the morning every day. And I read that like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I started doing that and it's very helpful. And I'm sure some of y'all have seen like The Artist's Way, and she recommends morning pages. There's just something about doing like a brain dump when you're kind of in that in-between state, right when you wake up. But I also love journaling at night. So yeah, journaling prompts, similar to the ones I shared in the reflection exercise, can similarly help you to break limiting beliefs and start to think more expansively. I also love to do gratitude journals and write out lists of gratitude every day. make lists of what you're thankful for. And the more we appreciate the things that we have, the more we can attract more. Also, sometimes I like to thank the universe for things as if they've already happened. So I'm not sure if any of y'all have tried this, but it's definitely worked for me, where I've said like, thank you so much for, when I was getting my apartment, right? I just moved here a couple months ago, and I was like, thank you so much, universe, for my beautiful apartment, da, 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 da. And then of course I was approved, right? So little things like that. But again, thanking in advance. And also your subconscious doesn't register time, right? So if you're already sitting in this frequency of gratitude and you're thanking the universe, like, thank you, universe, for this beautiful partner who I'm so in love with, who treats me like this, or whatever it is that you're manifesting, your subconscious doesn't know that that isn't in the reality. So when you're saying that out loud and thanking the universe and affirming it, it's like manifestation on steroids. I highly recommend it. Yes, so a lot of people use gratitude and morning pages. Thank you everyone for sharing. Okay, awesome. So those are some of the rituals and practices that I do. So we're going to dive into the Q&A. I know a lot of you had a lot of questions. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, I have something super exciting to share with you, and a bunch of bonuses to kind of set you up for manifestation success in 2023. So I've personally recorded a potent and powerful money meditation to help you break through blocks that are preventing you from, making the kind of money that you desire and deserve, of course, at a specific frequency, like I was saying, to drop you into that theta state. And I've also gone ahead and included a love meditation to support you in improving your romantic relationships, whether you're single, taken, or, somewhere in between, right? No matter where we're at, we can always deepen our relationship to love. And I've made sure to throw in 2 sets of journaling prompts too, one for money and one for love, to help you better understand what patterns you have in those areas right now and what you need to do to disrupt them and call in the future that you're craving, right? Bust through those blocks. Again, numerology has helped me manifest so much when it comes to those areas. And that's usually why clients would find me as well, is to manifest in love and money, right? And then again, it's one thing to know your numbers, your cosmic code, but now we're integrating and upgrading our systems. And in this masterclass, we're breaking down the energetics behind love and money. So there's another masterclass that I did with Christina the Channeler, really epic. And again, we talk all about like how we can really get to like the root of things to manifest in the areas of love and money, and how to align that with numerology. And then if you want to accept yourself, I also have a self-acceptance mini course. You first have to understand yourself in numerology, and that equips you with the awareness to do that. But in this bonus course, complete with a 47-page workbook, you'll dive even deeper into the psychology of self-acceptance and learn how to love the strengths and weaknesses of your life path and life destiny number, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and make improvements from a place of compassion rather than criticism, right? So your mental health is always in tip-top shape. And then I also have a bonus that is a soul urge chapter. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with your soul urge already. If you are, you can drop it in the chat. People really love that number in numerology. And, the soul urge is sometimes called the heart's desire number, and it speaks to what truly fulfills us on a level. So I wrote a chapter, it did not make it into my book only because there was only 20,000 words for the book. But again, this is such a powerful number, and this will help you kind of align with what your soul wants. And sometimes like we don't know what we want, right? Sometimes we're like, someone asks like, what do you want? You're like, I don't know, like we've all been there. So the soul urge really does help you kind of like pinpoint what is going to make your soul come alive. Oh, a lot of people know their soul number. Amazing. Oh, thank you so much, Carrie, for the praise on my book. Thank you. So all those bonuses are available in my signature program, Numerology 101, and you'll unlock all the access to those free bonuses in there. And what's more, as a master class attendee, you can save 44% on Numerology 101 for the next 72 hours. So all you have to do is enter the coupon code Manifestation Masterclass at checkout. And you can head to carehart.com/numerology101. Vanessa is going to leave a link to the course in the chat, so it's easy for you to access. But again, it's 44% off of 444. So I love that alignment. 4 is my balance number as well. So it's a great number. So if any of you are interested in what Numerology 101 is, here's a little snippet of everything that's in there. It's my signature program. I worked for a year on it, just kind of like figuring out what was going to be the most life-changing to know, the most life-changing information, because numerology is so vast. And here are some reviews from students. Again, this is all available on the Numerology 101 website, but we had some really incredible transformations inside of there. Very powerful. Again, it's just as simple as knowing your numbers, like knowing your cosmic code. And, you know, when you think about it, we live in a numeric system. So these are the codes to the system that we live in. So if you want to like really hack your life, know your numerology codes. And again, like this is a great way to do that. It's very, very in-depth. And Vanessa just dropped the link in the course, or in the chat, sorry, for any of you who are interested. Again, so Numerology 101, does the course go deeper than your book? The course goes way, way deeper than the book, especially because there are all those bonuses, like I said, that the book doesn't have. And there are things that the book couldn't even do, like, you know, meditations. And, you know, the course really focuses on manifesting in the areas of love and money. So that's kind of the focus, right? So you'll know your numerological code. And again, here's everything that you'll learn on the slide, but you'll also learn how to actually like apply it even deeper than what we did today. But again, like everything we did today should definitely set you on the right course. But if you're wanting to go deeper and you're like, damn, numerology is the shit, I like this, then definitely check out the course. And I did also recently, I add to the course still. So when I launched it, I did not have the karmic lessons or karmic debt modules in there. And now I've added karmic lessons, karmic debts, and repeating numbers, which are things that I'm just constantly asked about. So, you know, when you join Numerology 101, you'll receive all of this content. So 23 video workshops, 35 workbooks, 5 reference documents, cheat sheets, checklists, and the personal year module is just so in-depth. There are tons of things in there to help you really track your personal year cycles. Like I have worksheets where you can go and chart every single year cycle. So you'll know, like, this is every year 5 I've been in, this is every year 6. And again, I give you the tips on how to like really hone that in and bring that in. And that way you kind of know. Victoria said the karmic lesson in the book was spot on. Yes, it's pretty wild how accurate numerology can be. So again, I have bonuses in there as well: the meditation bundle, journal prompts, the energetics of love and money masterclass, the self-acceptance mini course, and that extra bonus chapter. So again, we will email you the link if you would like to, if you're interested in that. Again, 44% off 444 with the coupon code, and Vanessa also dropped that into the chat. So, and here are some more reviews from some people. Kate's asking about, can you share more about your personal year planners? Yes, we can talk about that in just a moment. So yeah, just want to remind everyone to check out, head to this URL right here. It's also in the chat box for ease. Scroll down to the investment section, select option 1, pay in full, and at checkout, you just enter the coupon code to save 44%. So that is my gift to you for attending this masterclass. And thank you so much for sharing your beautiful energy. And oh, thanks, Gabby. Gabby says, I took the course and so worth it. Nicole says, I love the numerology course, so good. Oh, vielen Dank. So again, to check out, head to this URL right here. It's in the chat. Scroll down and you entered the code, right? I just want to make sure, because some people have tried to do that in the past and they're like, wait, the code's not working. So you put that you pay full price and then you enter the code right there, right? So Scroll down the investment section, select option 1, pay in full, and at checkout, that's when you enter the coupon code. Alita is saying it says the code is invalid. Vanessa, are you here? Can you I'm going to make sure that when we're off the call, I'm going to make sure that it works. Oh, remove the space between the two words, Lindsay says. Oh, amazing. Okay, well, there you go. And we will also be emailing you with this information as well. Oh, thanks, Jenny. Jenny just dropped it in the chat, Manifestation Masterclass. But we'll also email this to you too, but it's also in the link. So now we're at the final part. We've made it. Thank you, everyone, for staying through all of this. Now we can do some good old Q&As. So someone asked me to talk about my planner. I have a 135-page numerology planner. It breaks down each year. There's a physical version and a digital version. And actually, I think that there is a page in the workbook on the planner. Oh, thanks, Victoria. She said the physical version rocks. Yo, that was a labor of love. I actually made that planner for myself. And then I was so obsessed with it. I was like, I got to make this for everyone. So yeah, it just breaks down each month cycle. There's a description for each month. There's astrology, moon cycles in there. There are journaling prompts. There are all kinds of things. I can drop, okay. And Vanessa's also answering some of your questions in the chat as well. So does anyone else have any questions? I'm going to be looking at the chat. What about work themes in personal year 3? I would say if you're in a year 3, that's the writer's number. That's all about communication. So the more that you can be communicating, showing up and having conversations, no matter how difficult they are, writing. So either journaling or, I just met with someone the other day who's in their year 3 and suddenly they're writing scripts when that wasn't something that they were doing before. If you're into again, anything that is you fueling your creativity will be great for work. In my personal year 6, could this be the year you can work things out with someone? Absolutely. Totally. In fact, I used to read for this client and she went through a breakup with her partner. And I was like, he's going to be back. And she's like, no, he's not. And I'm like, yeah, give it 2 years. He's coming back. And she thought I was batshit. And guess what? 2 years later, she calls me. She's like, you won't believe this. He came back. I was like, I know, of course, because I had already compared their numerology synastry. I saw her cycles. I saw his cycles. I'm like, girl, he's coming back. Guess what? They're engaged now. So absolutely, you can work things out in a 6. Totally. How do numerology and astrology pair up? So I like to use the personal year cycles before everything. And then I'll use the moon cycles too. And that's something I do in the planner for any of you who have that. You'll see that the eclipses and the new and the full moons are all in there. So I kind of will use the moon cycles as extra charged manifestation times within the personal months. But yeah, I think all of these tools are wonderful tools that are saying the same thing, but in totally unique and different ways. If you were born on the 22nd, would you reduce it to a 4 since it's a master number, or leave it as a 22 when adding for personal year? When adding for personal year, don't reduce it to a single digit. You can reduce it to a single digit. You don't have to keep it as a master number. What about podcasting in year 3? Hell yes. Again, anything to do with communication in year 3, go for it. And if anyone is wanting to dive deeper into what each personal year cycle means, again, there is a discount code for Numerology 101. So we go way more in depth in Numerology 101 on the personal year cycles than you're going to find anywhere else. But I do also list out the descriptions for free on my Instagram. You can go ahead and scroll through. I just posted those I think a month ago. Let's see. What about work in a year 5? Work in year 5, usually there's a lot of changes in your work life. Sometimes that's when people are called to travel in their work, because again, it's the traveler's number. My husband's in a personal year 7 and is in between jobs. What will this year bring? This year will probably bring more authenticity to his career, to be honest, like more authenticity to what he wants and where he wants to go. In my year 7, I was still a numerologist, but I completely changed and restructured my business because I realized what I had been doing in my previous year actually wasn't making me very happy. But I had to spend a couple months like really meditating and just like not working as much to kind of get into that space. So I think, again, in year 7, a lot of truths are revealed to you about yourself and the world around you. How do you balance the differences between each personal year and month when it comes to future plans with a partner? I always check my boyfriend's month and year cycle. For example, I remember I wanted to have a challenging conversation with him, but we were in a month 9 and a month 5, and I was like, hell no, I'm not doing it now. Right? Because like endings and change, I'm like, no. So I waited until we were in a 1 and a 6, and I'm like, perfect, we're having that talk, right? So things like that. Oh, goodness. Okay, there's so many comments in here. I didn't even realize. Okay. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to do my best to answer as many questions as possible. I know everyone's been on here we've been on here for a while. I don't even know how many of you guys are left because I only see myself and like 3 other people. Okay, cool. Okay. Christina said, I heard you mention repeating numbers. I see numbers 1 and 4 everywhere and so many times a day. Is there anything you can share around what that might mean? Couple things. 1, there's a generic answer for what repeating numbers are, right? So for example, if you're seeing a repeating 1, that could be new beginnings are on the horizon. But I always recommend checking out your own numerological code to really know what that means, right? So for example, when I see a 1 as a life path 1, that's the universe communicating to me to remember who I am, right? It's like, you're a life path 1, remember who you are, embrace your strengths, your traits, all of those things. And again, in knowing your own code, you'll be able to better interpret repeating numbers. So that's what I would say. And I do have a lot of material on that on my Instagram. And again, inside of the course, there's a whole module on that. Someone says, if you don't travel during a month 5, you could still have a good trip, right? Like, let's say you travel during a month 8 or 9. Is that bad? No. You know, the year cycles are supposed to liberate you and help you flow. It's not supposed to limit you in any way, right? So I would say the best time where things are really ease-filled for travel is a 5, but you can still travel in an 8 or a 9 and have a great time, right? It's just like, oftentimes you'll be called to travel in a 5, even though you didn't plan it, or again, things just flow better. Let's see, what is the best month number to move to a different country? I do see a lot of people moving to another country in the 9, because right, 9 is all about endings and completion. So you're kind of like, cool, done with this place, on to the next. But there's also a lot of people who move in a 4 because that's foundations, and sometimes 5, right? Because 5 is the number of change. So I'd say a 4, a 5, and a 9. Man, can you repost the chart? So someone just asked if I could repost the chart to figure out your month number. That is in the workbook. So you have that in the workbook. What are the numerology reports and how do they support? My numerology reports, you can go and put in your birthday and name, and you get all of your numbers. You don't get the personal year cycle because that's in my planners, way more in depth there, but you will get your whole numerological makeup. So if you are interested in doing that, that could definitely help you interpret repeating numbers. Which of our numbers is the one to pay most attention to, or are they all as important? The most important numbers in numerology, hands down, are your life path and your life destiny. That's how you like unlock your purpose. And then the personal year cycles. That's how you flow. So those are the most important. And you only need to know those numbers to like really make shit happen for yourself. So I highly encourage that you calculate those out. Again, I have tons of free stuff on my Instagram that you can do that yourself, or their reports, or again, the course, which we're offering 44% off on as well, if that interests you. Oh, someone said I moved to a new country in a year 9. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Again, the more that you track your own cycles, you'll get obsessed, I promise you. And then you'll start tracking your friends' cycles, your parents' cycles, everyone you know. And then it really starts to click. And honestly, like that's how I wrote a lot of my book, was because I was doing readings for so many years, and those readings served as data. Right. So it wasn't just like I studied with someone and then I was just like, cool, this is what the number means. It was that I had done it for so long. And so again, I encourage everyone to chart your own cycles, chart the cycles of everyone you know, or, the people closest to you. And you'll start to be like, whoa, okay. You'll start to see the patterns. And there's something that happens when you work with numerology. And I've seen it with everyone I've ever spoken to about this, where it's almost like you're Neo in the Matrix waking up. It's like, once you work with numbers, because we live in a numeric system, there is an awakening that happens and you see the world totally different. Just giving you a heads up. Let's see. I need to sell my business ASAP due to health issues. I am in a personal year 2 and January is a month 3. I would say wait until February because it's a 4, right? And 2 is a really good time for collaboration and partnership and balance. So if you can call in someone who could be that perfect person, like call them in now, right? That could maybe buy your company. And then again, 4 would be the time that you would be having those conversations and it would happen. And then it would probably really solidify in the 5, right? So 4 is like, cool, selling my company, found the person, great. 5 is that change. So now you're shifting, changing because you've sold it or you're about to sell it. Oh, thanks, Emma. Emma said, you're amazing at teaching us these tools. Do you still do personal readings? I'm not doing personal readings now, but I do have so many offerings and I do try and be very active in the DMs as much as I can. And I am working on more offerings too. My next thing I think is going to be a teacher training, which I'm so excited about. Yeah. Is there a best number associated with buying a house or a series to plant the seeds? Do you mean plant the seeds of buying a house? What number to buy a home? 4 is always a great time. 8, I see a lot of people buying homes in 8s as well, because again, money, right? Money in, money out. So 4s and 8s, sometimes the 6, just because the 6 is also about home, but it's more like home is where the heart is as opposed to the physical home. But I would say 4s and 8s. And also, fun fact, there is something called address numerology, which I was thinking about making a module inside of my numerology course. So let me know in the chat if that interests you, if you're already part of it. And again, if you do sign up for Numerology 101, I add to it and you will never, ever have to pay more. It's like, once you're in forever and you will always have that. So address numerology is a game changer. I do have a post on it on Instagram, but I am going to probably do a module just because it's just so helpful. How is year 6 for business? Year 6 is great because it's a very magnetic time for career. So I'll give you like an example. In my year 5, Penguin Random House found me and offered me a book deal, which is crazy, right? So that was my 5. That was change, unexpected change. In my year 6, I wrote and released my book and it did really well. And I was on TV in England and all these things, right? So there was a lot of magnetism, but the true success that I was building didn't really come until this past year, right? And that was my year 8. So year 6, the book comes out, I'm magnetic. Year 7, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta like figure out what I want to do now. I didn't realize I was going to go down this path. So then there was a lot of like internal rearranging, soul searching. And then 8 was like, I hit the ground running. And that's when I launched all these offerings, the courses, the reports, planner, all of that, right? I'm a life path 4 in a year 4. Is it significant? I tend to find that you feel the best when you're in your own energy. But that's coming from a life path 1, right? So I'm a 1. When I'm in a 1, I'm stoked. But like some of the harder life paths, I mean, life path 1's definitely not a walk in the park, but you know, track your cycles and see how you feel. Can you explain life path 33 more? 33 is Christ consciousness and the enlightened nurturer. They're very rare. Steve Irwin is probably the best example of them. And again, I have so much more in depth of that inside the course and on my Instagram page. Let's see. I missed how to calculate the life path part. We did not talk about life paths on this call. So we're just focused on the personal year cycles. What do you think about incompatible life path numbers in relationships? I think anyone can be with anyone. It just, you got to ask yourself, how difficult do you want your life to be, right? But I think all relationships come with challenges. And I think when you know your partner's cosmic code, you can accept them so much more. I mean, there was a while when I was doing client calls where I was doing like couples client calls because, you know, people would get so mad at their partner for being a certain way when that was like their strength, right? Like I remember this one woman was a 4 and she was so mad at her partner who was a 1. And she's like, why can't you follow the rules? Why can't you work consistently? Why can't you show up like I do? But that's not what like a 1 is supposed to kind of like bring the ideas to the world and then sit back and let other people help them. Kind of like a manifestor energy for those of you who like human design. So she was getting on him for like that, but it's like he was bringing her these brilliant ideas. He just wasn't able to execute. But the life path 4 is incredible at executing, incredible at doing anything that's structure or building, right? Which is not my strength as a 1. That's for damn sure, right? So when I was kind of explaining to them their own cosmic codes, they were actually able to be like, oh my God, this thing that I was so on you about is actually one of your greatest strengths and something that we should team up together, right? And it really did shift their relationship. And they actually have a company together now, which is really cool. So I know we've been on here for a while, so we're going to wrap this up soon. Ooh, someone said husband and I are both in a 3-year. I do see that a lot in relationships. I think that's really cool when couples are in the same year cycle. Someone asked if I can share the website for the Mayan codes. I can share the website for the Mayan codes. I studied the Maya with a medicine woman from Costa Rica for a couple of years. That shit will blow your mind. That's like the math behind it's really complicated though. So I don't talk about Mayan codes that often. But I will share that on my Instagram stories, just because it will be hard for me to drop it in the chat right now. I know, I was thinking about that. Kara said you should talk about it more. For anyone who is familiar with the Maya, I'm a world bridger. So yeah, it's an interesting path. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I know I've studied so many different things, but I never wanted to confuse anyone. If I'm like 1 minute talking numerology, 1 minute talking the Maya, but that's something you guys are interested in. I've also thought about doing more like YouTube videos to kind of like teach and explain more of these things. I just love any tool that helps us understand ourselves better, right? So, ooh, someone said, listen to the book, The Science of the Soul. Can you share on Instagram about karmic debt numbers? I do have a post on karmic debt numbers on my Instagram. I can definitely share, but if you really, really want to dive deep, the course module will really, karmic debt numbers will mess you up. And then you're going to want to know everyone who has karmic debt numbers. And something I used to do too when I was doing readings was I would give a reading to someone and then they'd be like, oh my God, you need to read for my dad. And then they'd be like, oh my God, I need to read for my wife. And so I did a lot of readings for entire families, including children, which is fascinating. And a lot of the times entire family structures would have the same karmic debt number. I just found that so fascinating. And to me, that says that's what they're working for, right? That's why they kind of incarnated together, was to work out this karmic debt 14 that they all got together in a past life. It's really cool to see that. And again, for anyone who does have karmic debt, I just want you to know most of the world has karmic debt. Why else would you be here? So nothing to freak out about. Ooh, someone said they'd love to know more about numerology's relationship to theoretical maths. It's not a stretch. There is advanced numerology that is make your head explode. Same with Mayan codes. And someone who's really good with that is Robert Lee Grant. And him and I have had many conversations around numerology and its validity, which is cool because he is a mathematician. Awesome. So we've come to the end of our journey. I'm so unbelievably grateful that all of you guys were here. This was my first masterclass. I didn't know like who was going to show up, if anyone was going to sign up. Like, it's just so nice to see everyone here and everyone's beautiful faces. And I know there's so many of you who I'm friends with on Instagram or talk to often online. And so it's cool just to see everyone here. And I truly am grateful. Like, again, like there's so many people you could have spent this time with, and that does not, that I think about that, right? You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here right now. And I appreciate you so much. And again, like thank yourselves, because you are here investing in this knowledge, and this knowledge is helping you, right? Like that's why I'm passionate about it. It was because I was able to actually love myself and live a better life because of this tool. So I really hope that's what it does for you. And I'm, again, so appreciative, so grateful. If any of you guys find any cool things in your cosmic code or any amazing parallels in the year cycles, like feel free to DM me. I do try really hard to get back to as many as I can. Sometimes I'm late in my response, but I do try and check and get back, because I just love connecting with everyone so much on this. So, oh, I'm seeing everyone's messages. Thank you so much. Oh, thanks, Annie. It's one of the best masterclass I've joined. That means so much to me. Seriously. I like really was like, oh, I want it to be the best. I'm a Virgo sun. So I'm like, it's gotta be, it's gotta blow people's minds. It's gotta be the best. It's gotta be. So again, thank you so much for being here and sharing your beautiful energy. And again, don't forget about the discount code if that interests you. And we'll be sending out an email. Don't forget the workbooks. Don't forget to chart your year cycles. That shit is going to blow your mind. And again, thank you so much. Sending everybody love. And I hope to connect with all of you guys in the future. Bye, everybody. Oh, thank you, everyone, for the sweet messages. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you, everybody. Awesome. Okay, I will see you all soon. Yeah, bye. Oh, thanks. Bye, everyone. Oh, so much love to you. Oh, thank you for being here. Oh, thanks, Grace.